Мы всю жизнь, вот те, кто тут сидит, мое окружение, мы всю жизнь были с Россией в душе. Вот как сейчас наш Покровск. А у меня даже где-то есть стихотворение, что это все временно.
The Russia-Ukraine war is often read through maps, through red lines, through arrows of advance, through territory taken or defended. But modern war does not end there. Today, perception is as important as military position. In many cases, even more decisive. A city can be controlled by force, but without a convincing narrative, that control remains fragile. In modern conflict, what is contested is not only land, but meaning. Who appears to protect, who seems to restore order, and who is perceived as the source of suffering. This is where the war shifts, from the battlefield into the information space.
Как у вас дела, как у вас происходит все, никто ли не мешает, не тревожит?
Governments speak through interests. Militaries speak through strategy. Civilians speak through experience. And to a global audience, experience feels more real. When officials speak, people listen with distance. When generals speak, history reminds us of propaganda. But when civilians speak, the world listens differently. No jargon, no strategic claims, only fear, exhaustion, and the most basic desire to live without constant threat. In information warfare, this kind of simplicity is a powerful force.
И с другой стороны ворот. Еще мешки какие-то, ящики. Как я начала плакать.
The videos from the conflict zone do not show fighting, no explosions, no gunfire, no symbols of victory. What appears instead is fatigue. Flat voices, controlled body language. The message is not heroism, not hatred. It is a change in atmosphere after control has shifted. The tone is not aggressive, not emotional. It is measured, and precisely because of that, it feels convincing. In modern war, calm often persuades more effectively than celebration. This question always emerges. Does this mean Ukraine has lost? Has the territory fully fallen? The answer is not that simple. In modern warfare, cities change hands. Control can be temporary. Situations evolve. But one point matters. When a party is willing to display civilian life openly, it sends a signal of control, of relative stability, not to the enemy, but to the outside world. And Russia is acutely aware of the power of that signal. Russia understands one key principle. Weapons create fear. People create legitimacy. Instead of highlighting military force, the narrative emphasizes normality. Civilians speak. Daily life continues. Public routines reappear. The message being projected is simple. We are present. We are in control. We can maintain order. This is not a moral claim. It is a claim of competence. And in a prolonged war, competence is often trusted more than political promises. Eastern Ukraine is not an empty space. It has a long history, layered identities, multiple languages. Not all residents feel the same emotional connection to Kyiv, and not all view Russia as entirely foreign. For some, Russia is not ideal, but it is familiar. And in times of conflict, what is familiar often feels safer than distant ideals. This reality is uncomfortable, but it exists, and Russia takes this reality very seriously. Feeling safe does not mean ideological agreement. Survival often outweighs political conviction. Many civilians choose silence, not because they support, but because they want normal life. Silence is often misread as consent. More often, it is simply a survival strategy. Official narratives tend to be binary. Life under war rarely is, and Russia exploits this gray zone with notable effectiveness. Ukraine rejects these testimonies, labeling them propaganda, pointing to conditions of occupation. This argument is valid, and it cannot be dismissed. But at the same time, the response is largely normative, correct in law, correct in principle. Yet it does not always address the psychological reality experienced by civilians on the ground. This is where Ukraine faces a serious challenge, not of legitimacy, but of resonance. A prolonged war creates collective fatigue, not only among soldiers, but among civilians. Infrastructure is damaged, economies strain, hope erodes. In such conditions, the promise of stability becomes powerful, not because it is perfect, but because it offers a pause, and Russia recognized this opening earlier and with greater discipline. Russia seeks to show complexity, that this conflict is not simply black and white. Ukraine seeks to maintain clarity on sovereignty, on international law. The world stands between, weighing, filtering, trying to understand. And amid this noise, the most human narratives are often the most memorable. Behind every narrative, there are civilians, not political tools, not propaganda symbols, ordinary people. When someone says they feel safer, that is a real experience. It can be shaped, directed, exploited, but it remains a human experience. And modern wars are increasingly decided in this domain. This war is not only about who is right, it is about who understands people under prolonged strain. Russia demonstrates effectiveness in constructing a sense of stability. Ukraine holds strong and legitimate legal authority. But law does not always answer fear, and fear often shapes civilian behavior more than principle. This is the dilemma of modern war. We are not asking you to support one side. We are asking you to think with us about how narratives are built, about how human experience is leveraged, and about how wars today are no longer decided by weapons alone. Editorial disclaimer. This analysis does not seek to justify military actions by any party. It focuses on information warfare, public perception, and the human dimension of a prolonged conflict. The conclusions presented are analytical, not moral judgments. And reality on the ground is always more complex than any single narrative.